Very pleased not to be joined here at SB Nation by the one and only, the legendary, the internationally famous, one of the funniest tweeters I know. It is from the Oklahoma City Thunder, Chet Holmgren. Chet, thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Thank you again. That's a hell of an introduction right there.
I take great pride in doing, some research on people before I interview them. Obviously, everybody knows who you are. My wife is from Oklahoma, so my in-laws, everybody is a big Chet Holmgren fan. I'm from, San Antonio area, so, we don't have to go down that route or anything. It's a little bit awkward for me around Christmas and stuff. That being said, you are an athlete who uses Twitter, and that generally isn't my experience when I do this kind of thing. People have kind of shied away from the platform, call it X, whatever you want. What goes into that? I mean, I enjoy how much you share your personality.
Um, Honestly, I don't think there's any like deep meaning behind it. It's just I think it's a very unfiltered app, and for better or worse, and I find it entertaining sometimes. So I'm just on the app sometimes, and then I also kind of just like to share whatever's going on. I stick to mostly sports stuff. You know, Other things can get triggering to people, so I kind of just stick to sports stuff, keep it light, keep it funny, and then just kind of try to share some personality on there.
That's, I mean, honestly, the best possible answer I could have hoped to get, because that's exactly kind of what my vibe and read was. That's what it was. I think when we all first discovered it, you can make arguments about what any level of social media has become, but to me,
Yeah,
it just seems like you're like, I think this is funny, or I think this highlight is
yeah,
cool, and I just want everyone to see it.
yeah, 100%. I'm not on there trying to you know fight people's opinions and stuff like that. Just trying to have a good time, really.
I mentioned that I do some research. I couldn't find a bracket that you did. We're obviously speaking ahead of March Madness, but I did find your bracket from
Yeah.
2023. Do you remember this
Okay.
bracket?
I just remember having Gonzaga winning it all. So,
Do you want to guess who your Final Four was?
uh, last
This
year,
was 2 years ago.
so
2 years ago, 2023.
this was two
Yeah.
years ago.
This is so you're aware this was
Um,
something the Oklahoman did, and they had you and Jalen Williams both submit your brackets, or they shared both of your brackets. This was physical bracket. You wrote it out, blue ink.
yeah. Honestly, I barely even remember who was good that year. I know I had it. It all changes so quick now.
I'll help you. You did have Gonzaga winning, obviously, although we can argue about who's objective and who's impartial and whatnot. You had them beating Alabama in the title game. All right, and
Yeah,
you had Gonzaga
you go
getting
ahead.
there.
I knew that. Other than that,
Right, you had Bama beating Tennessee, so you had an SEC
you can
matchup.
go ahead and list them off. I'm never even gonna
Yeah,
guess.
you had Bama beating Tennessee in the Final Four, and you had
Okay.
Gonzaga beating Houston. So you mentioned it's
Okay.
kind of hard to know who's good. I mean, 2 years later, these are these are teams that are
Still
still
pretty
sticking
good.
around. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Houston's good pretty much every year. They're well coached. Same with Tennessee. Same with Alabama. I mean, college is all about the coaching, and then what coaches can get good talent on the floor. And I mean, those four schools do it every year. So those are good bets every year.
Well, I'm here to help you remember what you said 2 years ago. That
Yeah.
was my job today.
Appreciate it.
Your job today is quite complicated. You have a lot going on in your life. There's several things to juggle. One of them is starring in a brand new commercial from AT&T with some of your teammates. How did that go? What was that process like?
Yeah, it's super sick. As somebody who was fortunate enough to play in March Madness, now to be able to do a commercial around March Madness for this is my third year in a row now working with AT&T is pretty special. Not only are they a very high level brand, but they also do a really cool production around it. It's not just a copy paste sticker type of advertisement. They come up with a good script, they do it in a great location, and then they really find a good director, and they put a lot of legs under it, and then as we know from last year, it kind of take off, and hopefully this year's commercial does the same.
Yeah, you, Jalen, and SGA are in the commercial. I'd seen the Villanova one before, and obviously the last time that the Final Four was in San Antonio, it was them obviously running around. So it's kind of a full circle moment for them. You did have a tweet where you said that you would be fine being canceled if you were ever found dancing on TikTok. Not quite dancing.
Oh, you
Not quite
you did
dancing.
okay.
You
You
weren't
do
quite
do some
dancing in this
research.
commercial, but it's I feel like you've grown. You've shown a level of growth, right? Like you're more mature now. You know what I mean? You're more willing to do different things, like commercials that
Yeah,
feature you in a funny little outfit.
yeah. I mean, I'll give you some props. You definitely do some research. No, I don't think this is anywhere near the line of dancing, but it's definitely. I wouldn't say it was outside of my comfort zone. Last year was more out of my comfort zone. I'm not much of a singer, so last year was a little tough for me. But this year they made it easy on us, and I think we killed it.
I will say in the commercial, you get asked about your height a lot, I would imagine, but they pan to you and you're up on this balcony. And my initial thought was like, maybe you don't have the tallest dude be, the one on the balcony, right? Like if
Yeah,
anyone doesn't need it, it would be you. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. I think they switched up the script last minute too. I wasn't even supposed to be the one on the balcony, and then they switched it, put me on the balcony. So, but I think it worked out perfectly, honestly.
Well, that is very cool. Your work with AT&T is well documented. They're wonderful, and what they're doing around March Madness is great. And you mentioned it, obviously having an association with the tournament, with one of the most blue blood programs in college basketball. I do imagine it's quite fun. I imagine it's also more fun as your professional team is in a, no nobody wants to say anything. I know you want to focus and kind of lock in, but you're in a good spot, right? I mean, it must be nice to be in the spot you're in versus where other teams are as we get closer to the NBA playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, we're obviously in a great situation. You can say it. You don't have to be scared to say it. It's something that isn't taken for granted, but we also understand this is. We know we have a long way to go. We have to keep getting better and to put ourselves in the best situation to reach our goal at the end of the season, which at the end of the day is to win the last game. But we understand that we're nowhere near where we have to be, so we got to keep working.
I think that's really cool that you're not afraid to say it because
Yeah.
people are weird about different things in sports, and so
Well, I mean, if you asked anybody where they would want to be in the standings, they'd be lying to you if they said anything else. So like, it you don't have to like act like that's not what everybody else would say. You know what I mean? So
I really appreciate that perspective. It's even like relative to the tournament, people freak out when, if you were to be like, yeah, we're going to go out there, we're going to beat them. It's like, well, like what
yeah,
else is like, what would your mentality be otherwise? Like, even if
exactly.
you're, even if you're Gonzaga, you're a one seed rolling into the tournament. Like who's out there saying like, oh, I just hope we go out and play a really tight game. You know what I mean? And we'll
Yeah,
see what happens.
100%. You got it right.
I mean, well, I'm a well-researched man.
Yeah,
We've discussed this already, Chet Holmgren.
yeah.
As you look towards the tournament as it's starting to unfold today, the day that we're talking, what do you see? I mean, obviously we know what you want to see, but if you had to predict, who do you think's headed to San Antonio this year?
Um, it's gonna be hard to predict because I don't know exactly. I don't have memorized exactly who's in what bracket. So some people are going to have to beat each other to get there. You know what
Right,
I
right,
mean?
right.
But again, I think it's going to come down to the coaches with the track history have also been able to put talent on the floor. So it's going to be similar to what I said a couple years ago. I don't know how right or wrong I was 2 years ago, but it's going to be similar to the Gonzagas, Houston's, the Tennessees. You know what I mean? Auburn's, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, the cream stays at the top for a reason. I don't want to end this on a negative note, but you were pretty wrong relative to your Final Four prediction 2 years ago.
I'm sure I was.
That's okay because it worked out for you. Look at where your life is, 2 years later.
Yeah.
You're no longer against dancing and TikToks, I would suppose, and you're in an amazing commercial with your teammates, thanks to AT&T.
Yep. Yep. Life's in a great spot.
Well, Chet, wishing you all the best of luck, health, wealth, and happiness to you and to your Thunder teammates. Like I said, I have a special place in my heart for Oklahoma because of my in-laws.
Yep.
You're the man, and keep tweeting. Not,
Thank
not
you
enough
very
people
much.
do. We need
Thank
you
you
out there
very
in the
much.
streets.
Keep doing your research, man. Not many do it nowadays.
Appreciate it.